Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am in lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, where I am recording this. And it is Sunday, the 10th of November in the year 2024. And I want to remind you that if you have not gotten a New Vision mini scan, well, then I suggest that you do. New Vision is the holographic system that I helped to develop. I developed the emotional component of it. It is a scanning system that will scan your field and tell you what's going on in your body or your health or your emotions, depending on what we're asking. We put a filter in the system and we ask different questions to get different information. It is a state-of-the-art system. It scans your quantum field. It can give you information that is not readily available, for example, in possible medical tests and other means of measurement. It often gives information that you didn't know that you needed, like what something is. If you're having a health issue and you don't know what it is, and the doctors are puzzled, this is a good place to go. So while I do the emotional wellness component of that system, my friend Gwen Foster does the naturopathic physical health component of the system, and she has developed a mini scan, which we are selling on our New Vision website. It gives you your top 10 health recommendations for overall health and wellness and improvement of health and wellness. And so it might say, take more vitamin C, drink more water, use the essential oil lavender, use the essential oil cardamom for well-being, etc., etc. Flower essence, holly flower essence, etc., etc. It'll give you some information. And, maybe you should be looking into your thyroid or something. It's not a replacement for medical advice. There's that disclaimer. But it is helpful, and it helps you get to know what you should be focusing on and maybe go deeper. You can go deeper with a number of our practitioners who can assist you in getting some more information about your health if you have a session with them. So if you go to newvisionusa.com, and that is nuvisionusa.com, and go to the mini scan page, there's FAQs about it, explains what you'll get, what the information is, how valuable it is, etc., etc. It's $35, and I highly recommend it because it can give you some insight to things that you might not know are going on that could be really for your overall benefit. And, if you get this scan and you purchase a scan, someone will get back to you with your scan and details and some extra information in the coming days after you order it. It might not be me, so just because you order it doesn't mean it's coming from me. I'm one of the many practitioners we have. So I invite you to get your mini scan on the New Vision website, and if you need more information about it and you're confused or anything, go to the website or contact me, info@thegoldenastrologer.com or deb@debmcbride.com, and you can connect with me and I can explain it a little more, and and go look at the website because it's amazing, and it talks about our system and what it does and how it can help people. So okay, now that part of the podcast is finished. Let me tell you about the week ahead. And I am, for one, emotionally and in the collective unconscious, I'm really glad that US election is over, not because of however it turns out or whoever is now going to be president, but it's about the energy, and I always talk about the energy, that has subsided since it finished, because I feel physically better, emotionally better, psychologically better once that stress from the collective unconscious passed. I am particularly sensitive. That's why I'm good at what I do, but it is a burden at times. And if you are like me, and you have a lot of these sensitivities to collective cycles and things going on in the world, then you're going to feel this stuff. And you are going to probably feel better after that whole situation ended. Well, it's just the beginning, but it's also the end of the actual suspense. The suspense was what was energetically difficult and burdensome. So, yes, it's finished. We move on with the results. People move on. And here we are in Costa Rica, where tomorrow I want to tell you about the moon is occulting Saturn. Now, occultations are an interesting thing. They are an astronomical event, usually by the moon, which is occulting one of the other asteroids or star systems or planets. And back in 2019, if you remember, if you were listening to me back then, you might have heard me talk about Saturn and Pluto being regularly occulted by the moon on a monthly basis when the moon entered Capricorn, because both of them were in Capricorn back then. And so the moon would pass over Saturn and Pluto, which were getting ready to make their exact conjunction in January of 2020. But there was a monthly occultation of Saturn and Pluto. And so they were very close together. They were conjunct, but they were exactly conjunct in January 2020. So I haven't been reporting on occultations. Why? Because the gentleman who writes the astrology calendar for all of us astrologers, there are several of them, but the main one that we all used, he retired, and he used to put the occultations in there. And I was looking at them today because I think they're important. An occultation is an astronomical event that is akin to an eclipse. So when I say tomorrow, the moon, which is in Pisces right now, is going to occult Saturn and then occult Neptune, it's because it's in Pisces and it's making these occultations to these planets. It doesn't do this with every planet always. So it's not like going into Sagittarius and occulting Venus. It's not doing that. It has to line up a certain way astronomically with the planet or the asteroid, whichever we're looking at. So in this case, it's Saturn and then it's Neptune, and they are in Pisces, and the moon is in Pisces. So the moon is passing over them, and it is really a sort of an eclipse where the energy of the planet is blocked. And it doesn't mean you can't grab a hold of your discipline and dutifulness tomorrow with Saturn because it's being occulted by the moon. But what it means is that there are things in the shadows that we cannot see. And we know this from eclipses. We know that eclipses things are covered. They're not available to us. Energy is not available to us. So it's a quick thing. It doesn't last very long, but it passes through Pisces, and it is lined up with Saturn and Neptune in a certain way that it is occulting them. So tomorrow, the moon in Pisces will occult Neptune. It's going to conjunct Neptune tomorrow at 9:01 p.m. Eastern Time, but tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it conjuncts Saturn. So there's an occultation that occurs. Some of the calendars I found online were saying Saturn's occultation is today. Some were saying it's tomorrow. I think it depends on where you're located. I believe it's probably here tonight, where I am in this region of the world in Costa Rica. In Central America, it's actually supposed to be visible. So if I went out to look for Saturn in the sky, which is a visible planet, I can experience the occultation. Saturn's energy is one of structure and duty and discipline, and it gives us commitment and focus. And when the moon is occulting Saturn, we aren't necessarily in that place so much. It could be that conversations were happening in rooms that we are not privy to. Information is happening that we're not privy to by authority figures, which is Saturn. So my former teacher was saying in 2019, when it was occulting every month, it was occulting Saturn and Pluto, that conversations were going on behind closed doors. And, Pluto is certainly in the closet, down in the basement, down below in the underworld, and certainly that is a closed door. We can feel these. It's maybe a little bit of a detachment from their energy. Tomorrow it'll be Neptune. Neptune is about intuition and sensitivity and visionary qualities and imagination and sometimes illusion. So, it's a subtle thing. It's a very subtle thing. And if you're particularly sensitive to it, you may feel it. It really is a planet disappearing behind the moon. And if you go online and you type in occultation of Saturn by the moon in your browser, it will find you at your search engine. It will find you some recent photographs that photographers took of occultation of Saturn from the moon back in August. So I think, and you can see Saturn's peeking out from behind the moon. Saturn looks very far away. These are astrophotographers, so they have equipment to do things like this. But I highly recommend taking a look at that. So that's what's going on right now. Tomorrow there'll be an occultation of Neptune, which you need a stronger astrophotography equipment to see that. And they are not necessarily like an eclipse where it's like, ta-da, there's a big event going on, and it's an eclipse in the sense that the moon is hiding the planet. It's passing in front of it. It's hiding it from our vision. And because those big ta-da eclipses include the nodes, and the nodes are not involved in this. So I highly recommend getting a sense of your own feelings during this, because it's important to get a sense of what that occultation feels like to you. Because if we have more of these, which we're having now, if they were back in August and we're having them now, we're having occultations that are important to us. Perhaps it turns up the crankiness on the Moon-Saturn conjunction, or maybe it makes you more sensitive to your emotions and feelings, and you get a little blue, or maybe you don't feel particularly motivated and disciplined in that moment. Maybe that's not the case for you because the moon is hiding that energy. So the big day this week is Friday the 15th. And for a couple of reasons, which I shall describe, Saturn, that we're speaking about, is going direct. And that will be 9:20 a.m. Eastern Time. Saturn is now moving into its direct phase. It's stationing as we speak, meaning it's stopping in the sky in the sign of Pisces, and it's going direct on Friday, and it will start moving forward, okay? Now, the interesting thing about this is Saturn is only at 12 degrees of Pisces, and this is something where, it has a long way to go considering to leave Pisces. But in fact, when it goes direct on Friday the 15th, this coming Friday, it's going to be headed towards Aries. And it won't get there till the end of next May, 2025, which is a long way away. It's 6 months or so away, 7 months away. We've got a long time before that happens. But the fact of the matter is, it's headed towards Aries. It is going to go into Aries, step into Aries, go a little bit into Aries, 0 degrees, 1 degree. And then in July, it will retrograde and come back through Aries, and on September 1st, there's that day again next year. September 1st, it will go back into Pisces the way on September 1st this year, Pluto went back into Capricorn. So it will go back into Pisces, and then in 2026, it will go into Aries for sure. But that's a long way away. So dealing with right now, Saturn is going to go direct, and maybe some of the things that you've been working on since June of this year, when Saturn went retrograde, you will start to bear the fruit of those things, or you'll start to see where you need to work harder on those things, or the area of the zodiac that Saturn has passed over a couple times. It stopped and retrograded at 19 degrees of Pisces, so it's gone back from 19 to 12, that's 7 degrees. So those months prior to the retrograde, April, May, June, those months that it touched those things, and now it's going back over those things. What was going on then for you? That maybe you started a project, now you're concluding it. Maybe you had ideas for new things. Saturn rules things that are structured. Saturn rules work. So maybe your work is changing and shifting in these last months that, will bring you some new information this Friday when it goes direct. Now, Saturn going direct means we can explore where we've been in these months. Anything when a planet goes retrograde, we're going inward, we're integrating, we're reconnecting. Remember all the re's with a retrograde: the reconnection, the review, the revisit. And so whatever you've been revisiting, or whatever you went deeper with and more internal with since back in April and May, these things may be highlighted, and you sit down with yourself and you say, hey, I really accomplished something in these months, and I went a little deeper and really feel that there's more structure to this, and there's more work to do, but I'm willing to do that because I'm seeing progress of some sort. So yes. However, the same day there is another experience, and it's very important. We have the full moon on Friday the 15th, the same day. The full moon will occur at 4:28 p.m. Eastern Time in the sign of Taurus, because the sun is in the sign of Scorpio. So when we have a full moon in Scorpio season, the sun is in Scorpio, the moon is in Taurus. Now, what else do we know is in Taurus? Uranus, right? Uranus is in Taurus, and in fact, this full moon falls on Uranus. So it is the last supermoon of the year. This full moon, supermoon, is going to be at 24 degrees of Taurus, and Uranus is at 25 degrees of Taurus. And the moon will, in fact, be full, like I said, 4:28 p.m. Eastern Time, and then conjunct Uranus at 6:32 p.m., 2 hours later, Eastern Time. So this is something dynamic. This is powerful. This is intense. This is Uranus. It is very exciting, and it is excitable. However, Uranus is retrograde. Uranus went retrograde back in August, and this is something where we are going to be perhaps a little bit surprised, perhaps tapping into our own genius, perhaps tapping into an innovative solution for something, or just some new innovative projects or ideas that we have. But this is something that is not going to be your average full moon. A lot of lunations, full moons, new moons, occur with planets, and sometimes they just pass by without touching the other planets, and we feel them because the energy is a little more hot, and this one is no exception. This one is going to be hot, and it's touching Uranus, and it's so close to Uranus. It's really close to Uranus. So that means that this full moon is highlighting the planet Uranus, and what's dynamic about this is that it could shake things up for a lot of people. Now, if you're a Taurus, you're going to feel this. And if you are someone who is a fixed sign like me, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, you are probably going to feel this because it's a hard aspect to your sun, even if it's not directly, your sun is not directly there. It's going to shake things up. People may feel this in the Taurus region of their chart. Now, remember April? Remember April with Jupiter and Uranus conjunct in Taurus? Well, they were like about 22 degrees. This is going to be 25 degrees, not far away, 24 degrees, 25 degrees. So it's going to highlight things that we knew about back in April, at the end of April. Now there's April again. So if we're thinking about Saturn's path and where Saturn was going in about April and May, and where it was headed before it went retrograde, then for sure there's some things from April that are going to be revisiting us and us revisiting them when we get to Friday, which is very interesting and can be very helpful to us because we may need to go back and review something and revise something and connect with something, whatever you were working on back in April. If you had things that were complicated and maybe project oriented, or they were life intense, perhaps those things will come back to haunt you or revisit you in these days ahead. It is possible. I don't think this is going to be a calm full moon. So if you have trouble sleeping, these generally have trouble sleeping, you can expect that this is probably going to cause you some agitation. If you don't have trouble sleeping, you might have trouble sleeping Friday night, Thursday night, Saturday night, all around the full moon with Uranus. And in fact, the sun is opposite the moon during a full moon, and Saturday the 16th we'll see the sun opposite Uranus. So yes, it's typical that the sun is moving slower, obviously, than the moon. The sun always moves slower than the moon, but it's typical for the sun to make the aspect after the full moon. So between, Friday And then Saturday it will be 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time that the sun opposes Uranus. And so this experience is going to be extended Saturday, Friday, Saturday. If you aren't sleeping, or you expect not to sleep, or you feel that energy coming around the bend, I recommend doing some things to help you sleep better, whatever those are, whether it's meditating, whether it's taking a hot bath, whether it's taking some herbs, having a nice mug of cocoa or a lovely sleepy tea, some chamomile, something like that that's fun and relaxing, or whatever you do. Please, just be aware of this. Now, again, I say when we deal with Uranus, we deal with wild energy. Wild. It can be uplifting. It could be exciting. It could be exuberant. It could be like, woohoo! So I would keep the caffeine low and try to ground this energy. Remember, when you deal with electricity, electricity must be grounded in order to really function and not blow fuses and sparks and all sorts of stuff. You have to be grounded. We are energy. We have to be grounded during times like this when we get big time Uranus energy. Uranus is the planet of electricity. It's the planet of lightning. So you may have some genius. I suggest the best use of this energy is to push the creative energies a lot. Push some creative, juicy, productive creativity during this time. What could be so fruitful for you is that and fruitful, that's a Taurus word, it's fruit and harvest and good things like bounty, which is nature in Taurus, right? Taurus in nature is Mother Nature. So I would highly recommend getting some, creative tools moving. If you're an artist, or if you're a writer, or if you are someone who dabbles in creativity, it could be anything. You could be baking bread, you could be doing the garden, you could be doing anything that's getting your hands dirty a little bit and getting out your toolbox and your paint kit and whatever that is. For me, it could be reading cards. For me, it could be in my garden. I bake also. I do bake bread. But anything that could be potentially a little fun, a little lively, or, get a creativity group together. Hey guys, let's all get together and, make some art, or go to one of those paint your ceramics places, or this is good stimulating energy for creativity. I think to channel in that way is really positive, because then you're giving yourself an outlet for this energy. Again, no road rage. You know me when I talk about Uranus, when I talk about Pluto and Mars and all of that. No road rage. No lashing out, no nastiness. It's a full moon. It's highly energetic anyway. Get situated so that you don't feel you are being overwhelmed by electrical energy. Get grounded, okay? Get yourself grounded and feeling like, you're not going to be all over the place and dysregulated and distracted and having a hard time, okay? You don't want a hard time with this. It could bring you some welcome surprises. It can bring you breakthroughs, and that is what we want. Creative breakthroughs, energetic breakthroughs, life breakthroughs, anything that could potentially bring you a positive and forward-moving energy. Remember, Saturn is moving forward that day. And then Uranus is the experience of breakthrough. So if Saturn's forward motion, brings you a breakthrough alongside this full moon with Uranus, well, then that's great, right? So that's what we're aiming for. That's what we want to encourage in our lives this week, okay? Now, there are other things going on besides Saturn and Uranus, and they don't happen till Friday, but we'll start feeling that energy earlier, and, get your mug of cocoa ready, or your nice hot milk or something that's going to help you. And remember to nurture your little fur babies, your animals, if they get stirred up during this kind of energy. So just take care of them. And so tomorrow we have Venus entering Capricorn. She's at the end of Sagittarius. She's been squaring Neptune, and she's now moving into Capricorn tomorrow at 1:26 p.m. Eastern Time. And Venus is very stable in Capricorn. She is practical. She is, forward moving. She likes to do things that have outcomes and achievements. She's success oriented. She's smart and savvy in the business department. She is not wild and partying as she was when she was in Sagittarius. She likes more grounded, stable, focused, committed energy. That is Capricorn. And climbing energy. She likes goats climb. She likes to climb and gain some momentum and achievement. So even though it's becoming holiday season, Venus is going into Capricorn. However, Mercury's going to spend quite a bit of time in party in Sagittarius and knowledge-oriented Sagittarius. Mercury in Sag really wants to learn, even though Mercury belongs in Gemini and it rules Gemini, and it's not in its favored place in Sagittarius because it's the opposite sign, as you've heard me say before. But it is going to square Saturn on Tuesday the 12th at 8:22 a.m. Eastern Time, and this is a real grounding of energy. This is a real practical use of our intellectual skills, our communication skills. If you need to have conversations this week that are, forward thinking, I think that these energies with Venus going into Capricorn and Mercury squaring Saturn, these are energies that produce good work. Okay? And that's one of the great uses of these energies at this time of year when we start going into seeing more Capricorn energy and stuff. It is a good time to get a lot accomplished. So if you feel the holidays are coming and they're coming faster than you need them to, it's a good time to buckle down and get all the projects done that you need to before the holidays descend upon you. Okay. So, and then there's that interesting stuff at the end of the week. In the meantime, Mercury is going to go retrograde not till about the 25th of November, so we've got a little while for that yet. And Mercury will stay in Sagittarius because it's going to retrograde in Sagittarius. It'll stay in Sagittarius for a while. It's going to go there and be there, I think, until the beginning of January, and then it eventually goes into Capricorn. So, yeah, we've got a lot of Mercury and Sag energy, which also can bring a frivolous attitude towards, getting things done and at the last minute and stuff. So I advise you to be practical and do things a little at a time instead of just sort of winging it with Mercury and Sag. The other thing we need to address, and I've said this 1,000 times, but I'm going to say it again, is we don't have that many days left of Pluto in Capricorn. Today is the 10th. It's almost finished. It's the evening here. We're going into tomorrow, the 11th, and Pluto goes into Aquarius on the 19th, which is a week from Tuesday. So this is it, folks. The last shreds of moments of Pluto in Capricorn. We are entering a new era, a new paradigm, a new energy, and this is it. It's not coming back. This is going to have a different feel to it than the last couple of times Pluto has stepped into Aquarius, which has been twice. The first time was March of 2023, and then the second, it traveled, went back into Capricorn. The second time it went in was January 20th or so this year, 2024. And it will move into Capricorn on the 19th, November 19th at 3:29 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's very, very important. This last week, I have to say, true to Pluto leaving a sign, it's always this anxiety that grips people during Pluto leaving a sign, and a lot of times the other outer planets leaving a sign. And I have to tell you, this has been complicated these last days for me. And it's not been Uranus, right? Every day has been drama. There's been drama every day. I get a dramatic story. I get a phone call, a person telling me a story, and I'm like, holy cow, what's this? Wednesday, there was a little drama. Thursday, there was drama. Friday, there was drama. That led into Saturday's drama. That then led into Sunday's drama. So the story went from Friday to today for me, and it's going to continue. And so it's been like these weird dramatic things that came out of nowhere. And so everybody seems to there's still edginess, even though the election is over and the energy is dispersed. But there has been stories and stuff and people dealing with things and calling me, and it's been a bit of a freak out. So everybody calm down, everybody breathe, and let's move through things one step at a time. And I find, the things that help me the most during this time are meditation, getting to bed early, writing, doing some journaling, and it's been raining here really heavy. There was some tropical storm passing through here. We don't get hurricanes here, but there's just been some storm, and they come in cycles, so it's been a lot of rain the last few days, and that doesn't let me go in my garden very much because it's very muddy. So the things that are helping me are more indoor things at the moment. I do go for walks, but you've got to take this one step at a time. What I have been feeling is that every day I wake up and it's like, oh, this again. Because we're dragging ourselves through the last moments of Pluto and Capricorn. Capricorn is a muddy sign. It's an earth sign. So no wonder I have mud in my garden. But there's a very strong Saturnine energy. And now Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, is turning direct. And it's stopping. It's slowing down and stopping. So things feel like they are stuck in the mud. And they feel that they're not moving. And that's why maybe there's some chaos. People are freaked out. What's going on? What's happening? Why can't we step forward? Why can't I, do this? And then, it gets under your skin. You get hot under the collar. You start having drama. And I recommend that, you take these moments. I have to take every moment one at a time, one moment at a time. And it's the only thing that I can recommend doing. No quick jumping ahead. A lot's happening in the next few days. Just from Friday to Tuesday, this Friday to next Tuesday, there's going to be all these big changes. If Saturn is going direct, this is the ruler of Capricorn, and Pluto is leaving Capricorn. So remember, they're having a little dance together here. Pluto's saying bye, Saturn. Saturn's saying, okay, take care. I'm going direct now. So there's a lot of movement as far as the Saturnine energies are concerned. Venus is going into Capricorn. Saturn is moving forward. Pluto is moving out of Saturn's sign. And so we're looking at some very distinct shifts and changes as we move forward toward next week. The next 9 days. Powerful, 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 powerful. And I really hope that you can take some time for meditation, take some time for writing, take time for yourself. Sit with a cup of tea in the park. Connect to nature, because nature is always going to help heal us. Always. It's always going to be healing to spend time in nature. So if you can walk someplace where there's nature, this is all very earthy energy. Walk in nature, connect with the trees, the flowers, the weeds, even the weeds, the little animals, the insects, everything. Connect. And be present for yourself. Just do a nice meditation. Sit with your tea and just close your eyes and just be present. Calm your mind. Calm your nervous system. Work with this energy and let it pass through you during this very incredible time. And, this is it. We're not going to get a reprieve. Oh, Pluto will be back in Capricorn again. I'll get to that other stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. No, this is it, guys. The last moments. And when you hear me on this podcast next Sunday, the 17th, you will hear me talk about the fact that Pluto has only 2 more days in Capricorn in our lifetime. This is a lifetime thing, right? Never going to see this again in our lifetime. And it is a very energetic, powerful shift forward. So let's collect our intuitive stirrings and know what our intuition is saying to us about this time forward, what's going to happen, what's going to go ahead for us, and be present with it, write about it. And you can write to me about it. If you're like, Deb, I had this insight about Pluto going into Aquarius and leaving Capricorn. Certainly write to me at The Golden Astrologer, info@thegoldenastrologer.com, deb@debmcbride.com. And, I'm always interested to hear how people are faring with these big, big, big shifts and changes. So, Keep yourself in a good, calm, lovely place as we go through a Uranus full moon. Saturn goes direct, and then we get ready for Pluto to leave. This is the end of an era, guys. This is 16 years of Pluto in Capricorn. So much happened. When Pluto went into Capricorn, I lost my parents, and I lost a very dear friend from the astrology community, all within 6 months of each other in that time in 2008. And so this was very dramatic, and then my partner passed 2 years later. So this is big energy for me, and I'm sure it is for you too. All of us have a story from the last 16 years. What's your story? Look at it and, be with it. See where this affected your life, and let it go. Let it go. Thank you so much, beautiful astro darlings, for listening to me. Thank you for being with me on this Sunday, and whatever day you listen to it. I will be here next Sunday, the 17th. In the meantime, I will be on Instagram, The Golden Astrologer. You can reach out to me on there or email, like I just mentioned. My website is thegoldenastrologer.com. You can book a session with me there. And you can also book a Reiki session with me if you need some calming during this time. My Reiki also is great because it clears up blockages and obstacles. I can apply Reiki to anything, any sort of creative project or anything that's going on in your life. And I find that it unravels the snarls, and it works well for me. So I invite you to try it with me. And I will talk to you from the internet in the days ahead. Much love and gratitude to everyone. Have a beautiful week.